Google put out something called DESIGN.md. It's a way to hand your AI a written guide to your brand's whole look, and it's supposed to make AI build websites that actually look professional. I already use a tool called Pencil for that, so I'm putting them head to head on a real job to find out if DESIGN.md is good enough to change how I work. Here's what I'm actually deciding. I only add a tool to my stack if it genuinely makes the work better, and Pencil is already in that stack. Design.md is being talked about as the thing that makes a separate design tool unnecessary. So before I change anything about how I work, I want to know whether that holds up when I put it on real work instead of demo. First time on the channel? Welcome aboard. Before I recommend any tool, I put it through real tests instead of trusting the demo. If that sounds useful, please hit subscribe. Here's the plan. I'm testing 4 different ways of generating AI design content to find the winner, and by the end, I'll know whether design.md earns a place in how I build. Let me show you the test. I built one brand brief and I'm sending the exact same brief into every setup. No tweaking, no nudging one direction. The brief is short: a brand name, a one-line positioning, a locked-in tagline, 3 feature names, 3 pricing tier labels. From that brief, I want 3 things every time: a single hero design, a 5-sided pitch deck, and a full 5-page website. Same deliverables, same brief, every run. The brand is a fictional one, a literary AI co-writer for novelists. I picked a novelist tool on purpose because anything more generic lets the AI fall back on the same dashboard look that it always defaults to. And I wanted to see what these setups do when they're forced into a little restraint. I ran this exact brief through 5 different AI design tools: Claude Design, Pencil, Washu, Open Design, and Paper Design in another video on this channel. To see the designs each one came up with and decide which one you like the best, and maybe disagree with the winner that I picked, click on the card in the corner. Today, I'm testing 4 setups: Claude Code on its own, Claude Code with Pencil, Claude Code with Design.md, and Claude Code with Pencil and Design.md together. I'm running them in that order on purpose so that Design.md can't quietly influence the setups that aren't supposed to have it. Real quick, before we get into the results, if you're finding this useful so far, tap the like button. It's the easiest free way to support a small channel, and it genuinely helps. Setup 1: Claude Code on its own. I give it the brief and ask for the homepage, and here's the homepage it builds. Visually, that's clean. Decent spacing, fine typography, nothing I'd be embarrassed to ship. Now, look at the words on it. A headline says, "A quiet room and a reader who is paying attention." I didn't write that. That's not in my brief. And the feature names, margin notes, the continuity ledger, sessions, not streaks, I didn't write those either. Not one of them. Look at what just happened here. I gave it a headline. It put a different headline on the page. Think about what that means on a real project. If someone on my team did that, if I hand them my sales page copy and they quietly swap in their own headline, that person doesn't have a job the next day. The page looks fine, but the words on it are words I never approved. And that is the whole ballgame. Setup 2. Now let's add Pencil. Pencil connects straight into Claude Code. So this is still one request. Same brief, same 3 deliverables. Claude Code just uses Pencil to handle the design. And here's what's different about it. Pencil designs the page first before any code gets written. So I get to look at the actual design before anything turns into a real site. And here's the design that comes back: my headline, my feature name, my pricing labels, all sitting right there on the page. The headline matches my brief. The feature names match what I named them. The pricing tiers come back: reader, writer, editor, the exact labels I wrote. The words on the page are my words. Hold on to that because it's about to matter. Okay, this is the setup I'm most curious about. Setup 3: Claude Code with Design.md. First, let's set it up properly. Design.md is a format from Google, a structured way to describe a brand's colors, typography, and visual style so a coding agent can follow it. So I have Claude Code take that format and fill it in for this brand and save it to the project as the brand's design.md file. Now, that file is sitting in the project tuned to this exact brand before we even start. Now let's run the same prompt. And here's the page it builds. Visually, this is a real step up. The dark color shows up exactly once across the whole site, the way the file says it should. The pricing card emphasizes the middle tier cleanly. That looks more deliberate than setup one. So far, so good. Now, let's read the words. Hang on. The headline says, a co-writer that knows when to stop talking. I didn't write that. The feature names, the margin, the index, the long look, I didn't write those either. So here we are again, same problem as setup one. The headline I wrote is gone, and the AI made up a new one. Design.md gave me a better looking page, and it still rewrote my copy. Tuning the file to the brand did not fix it. It just gave me a nicer looking page with the wrong words on it. Setup four, pencil and design.md together. This is the one that should, in theory, give me the best of both. Pencil handling design, the brand's design.md file in the project, and Claude Code to honor both at once. So let's see what that combination actually produces. And here's what it builds. First, the words. The wording from the pencil design holds every word. My headline, my feature name, my pricing labels, all intact, just like setup two. So adding design.md on top did not break what pencil was protecting. Good. Now the visuals. And here's the part I did not expect. Put setup 4 next to setup 2, pencil alone, and they're nearly identical. Design.md added small eyebrow labels, chapter 0, voice ask, but no real visual upgrade. The pricing tile, the one place design.md actually did something back in setup 3, is not tighter here. It looks exactly like pencil on its own. So when I stack design.md on top of pencil, design.md contributes nothing I can see. Not a little, nothing. It's a second file sitting in the project, and the page looks exactly like it would have without it. So here's the pattern, and that's worth slowing down for. Start with the visuals. All four setups look almost exactly the same. Not similar, the same. If I lined up all 12 of these pages and peeled the labels off, I could not tell you which setup built which one. The only visual difference in this entire test is that design.md made one pricing box look slightly nicer. That's it. So if you're picking one of these setups hoping for a better looking site, it barely matters which one you pick. They all land in the same place. The real split is the words on the page. Two of the four setups kept my wording exactly, and those are the two that used pencil. The other two, the two without pencil, both rewrote my copy. Two and two, and it lines up perfectly with whether pencil was in the setup. And that's not because pencil is some smarter tool. It's about how much work is happening. When pencil's in the setup, pencil does the design and nothing else. That's the whole job. When pencil is not in the setup, Claude Code is doing the design and writing all the code itself. One much bigger job. And across that bigger job, with more to hold in its head at once, the text drifts. My headline gets a little lost in everything else it's tracking, and it quietly writes a new one. That's the mechanism. It's the same thing I found in my last design video. The setup that does less work and burns fewer tokens is the one that stays consistent. And to be clear, the drift is fixable in other ways. You could add a confirmation step at the end, tell the agent, before you hand this back, check all the copy against my brief and confirm every word matches what I wrote, not just the heading, the feature names, the pricing labels, everything. Watchdog-pass over the whole page. That works. The point isn't that pencil is the only possible fix. The point is that pencil avoids the problem in the first place by doing less. Here's why that matters. And it's not about whether a headline sounds clever. When I build a site, the copy is the part I've already thought hard about. The tagline, the headline, the feature names, the button color, the card padding, those are the things AI can change in a second, and it costs me nothing. The headline is not. The headline is the decision I already made. When the AI quietly swaps in a new one, putting it back isn't a tweak. It's going back through the whole thing and fixing it. That's the real cost. Now, one honest note before the verdict. The 4 pages look identical to me, and that's my read. If you look at them and you genuinely see a difference, if one of these styles speaks to you, then that changes the math for you, and you might want a different setup. But I'm not deciding this on a feeling, I'm deciding it on something I can measure. One setup does less work, burns fewer token, and holds my copy, and the others don't, and don't look any better for the extra effort. One thing about the comments. I read them, and the common threads in them genuinely shape what I test down the line. So if you're running a different AI design setup than these four, a different design tool, a different file, a different model, drop the combination below. I can't promise every suggestion becomes a video. I've already got a stack of tests lined up. But when I see the same tool come up again and again, that's how it earns a spot. This is a small channel, so I read and respond to every single comment personally. So here's the verdict. DESIGN.md did lift the visual quality in one specific case, setup 3. DESIGN.md on its own, no pencil. There, the dark color and the pricing emphasis behaved exactly the way the file promised, but that's the only place it did anything. The moment I stacked it on top of pencil in setup 4, it added a few eyebrow labels and nothing structural. No tighter pricing tile, no better layout. Cosmetic adds I can't justify maintaining a second file for. And in every setup, it does nothing to protect the wording because it has no field for wording at all. So put those together. If you don't use pencil, design.md gives you a better looking page with the wrong words on it. If you do use pencil, design.md gives you nothing. The page is the same with or without it. There's no version of this where design.md earns its place. Pencil is the only thing in this test that held my copy and gave me a page I'd actually ship. So here's what I'm doing with my own stack. I already use pencil, and after this test, I'm keeping it. It's the only setup that holds my wording, and it gives me the visual control on top. I'm not adding design.md. On its own, it would leave my copy getting rewritten in every build. And stacked on top of pencil, it does not buy me anything at all. Setup 4 looked identical to pencil by itself. There's no reason to maintain a second file that changes nothing I can see. The wording problem is the one that actually costs me time, and pencil is the only thing here that solves it. I hope you found this video useful, interesting, or at least entertaining. Hit subscribe to see more of my videos in your feed, and hit the bell, and the bell will notify you every time I post a new one. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for making it all the way to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching one of my videos. Hit the like button, and then I've got a couple of sweet videos that I think you're gonna like. I've got one here and another one over here. You're gonna love them.